And hello again. This is Psychochronic, aka Psychorarity, here for Rarity Talk. This is my little vlog or show or podcast, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that chronicles the Street Fighter community in Canada through my perspective. And here we are with episode 10. What are we going to talk about here? Well, the last two episodes of Rarity Talk, we've talked about the Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. This one's going to be different. Episode 10, My Experience with G3Evolution, Mississauga's anime FGC from 2006 to 2009. Psychochronic, aka Psychorarity, discusses my experience with G3Evolution, Mississauga's anime FGC, my history of playing with an upcoming group of anime players, the effects in the community, and its almost 3-year history of its existence in the scene. The 10th episode of hopefully many. Part Canadian history lesson, part time theater, part photo album, speaking about the Canadian Street Fighter community through my perspective. Without including the intro, this consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chapters in this episode. So, let's get the show on the road, shall we? Alright, let's get this show on the road. Let's start off with the first chapter, non-intro of this episode.
Here comes Daredevil!
That's great. Thank you.
TOSF after T7, July 2006 and predicting 2007. 5th year of existence. Toronto Street Fighter is 5 years old at this time, with the main 3 games of the scene, CVS 2, Marvel 2, Third Strike, being 4 years old. Main hub of competition is in Orbit Entertainment Center in Uptown Toronto in Markham. No tournament activities done in Funland in downtown Toronto. Activities in Mississauga in the Game Skybox and Shoppers World in Brampton finished, as those arcades closed down in 2006. Scene is 2 separated entities in one body in Toronto Street Fighter TOSF in the east and Greater Toronto Street Fighter GTASF in the west, with Highway 427 acting as the line of jurisdiction. Previous generation of players in the early era slowly phasing out. Too much to name, so this is just, I highlighted, this is all the research of all the players that will not make it past 2005, basically not even 2005, 2006 to be exact. So this is just a list of names that I've researched, along with upcoming batch of new players entering the scene. So I'll double highlight this, that I can name out. Well, the bottom paragraph, these are the newer crop of players that enter the scene around 2005, 2006. So, out with the old, in with the new. So this is just a list of various players around, GTA and Toronto. They played their games, they were in their time in the scene. Some of them left, and then you have a new batch of players entering the scene. So, yeah. Monthly numbers declining at Orbit. Introduction of Ranbat in 2007. Orbit turning to Playscape. A sign of things to change, as most monthlies couldn't get more than 16 players for a decent bracket, with the main games being 5 years old, along with tournament attendance numbers dwindling, a true sign of the Dark Ages. Finally transitioning from arcade to console. Very few locals to be hosted. First big event to be introduced in the home major of T8 in July 2007. As most scenes in North America had to make the switch as arcades were beginning to die, most communities doing the transition follows the Evo standard of trying to be as arcade perfect as possible. So yeah, that's how the scene was going to go through entering 2007. Arcades are going to be dying. Well, it depends on the game. Arcades are in the brink of dying, or they're too far, or, very inaccessible to some people. So you got to resort to doing console. So, yeah. And on top of, the older batch of players that were in the scene before the Daigo Parry, some of those players would naturally phase out and leave, and then you have a bunch of new players that would enter the scene after that Daigo Parry. So there you go. And that's the end of that chapter, 3.5 minutes. Alright, let's get on to the next chapter of this episode.
Here comes Daredevil!
That's great. Thank you.
Me after T7, spoken in a Mississauga perspective. 1.5 years, 18 months in the FGC. First player in Mississauga to join the Street Fighter community 6 months after the Daigo Parry. Not currently a high school student. Yeah, because when people in Mississauga joined the scene, they were current high school students. I wasn't. I was like a year after graduation, okay? And didn't go through the revolving door as most players would have given up and went to explore other hobbies or communities. You wanted to be here until the end. Most people would not last more than 1.5 years, 18 months. That's a revolving door right there. You came in, you experienced what you wanted in the scene, and then you just got out. Okay, shit got boring for you or whatever. Okay, time for you to leave. Cool, no problem. Progression in the games from January 2005 all the way to July 2006, spoken again in a Mississauga perspective. CVS2, K-Groove, Rockhammy, Raiden, 0-2 in most locals, lucky to even get 1-2 at times. 0-2 in 2 home majors in T6 and T7, and you must use Xbox Live as a training tool. You're also practicing the irrelevant version, CVS2 EO, which is extremely frustrating in the scene as nobody gonna help you get decent in this game. So basically I'm practicing a version that's like irrelevant and has balance changes, and that doesn't mean shit. So whatever I've learned at home doesn't even fucking apply to the fucking tournament scene. Okay. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Blackheart, Sentinel, Captain Commando, 0-2 in all locals. Didn't even bother to enter the home majors. Ain't nobody in the scene gonna help you get decent in this game despite living in the city that specializes in said game. The game on Xbox isn't arcade perfect and isn't Xbox Live compatible. So basically, like with Marvel 2 was a whole different situation. Well, ain't no one gonna help me in this fucking game, and I happen to live in this city that has the best fucking players in the fucking country. And I'm not part of the clique, which will be morely described later on within this chapter. Third Strike, Chun-Li. 0-2 in most locals, lucky to get 1-2 at times. Surprisingly decent in terms of the big three despite relying on Xbox Live as the training tool, as there's no competition in your own city. Guilty Gear XX Reload, Testament and Eddie. 0-2 in most locals, lucky to even get 1-2 in rare occasion. 0-2 in 2 home majors in T6 and T7. You must use Xbox Live as a training tool, the worst netcode for a 2D fighting game aside SVC Chaos, as nobody in Mississauga plays Guilty Gear, at least in terms of the Street Fighter community. Capcom Fighting Jam, Jeddah and Urian. 1-2 in the locals it was available in. 1 match away from top 8 in a 14-man bracket at the home major in T6, losing to Ricky Ortiz and Virus. Surprisingly decent in terms of the dead games despite relying on Xbox Live as the training tool, as there's no competition in your own city. Alpha 3, V Karen. 0-2 in all locals, 1-2 in the home major in T7. The board is owned by Dogberry and not by Orbit, and you must use Kylera as a training tool. Hyper Street Fighter 2, the Anniversary Edition, Super Turbo Chun-Li. Existed in my first year in the FGC, main SF2 in Toronto Street Fighter. Third place in my first appearance at Orbit en route to T6. Top 8 in a 12-man bracket at the home major in T6, losing to Ricky Ortiz and Dogberry. Surprisingly decent in terms of the dead games, despite relying on Xbox Live as the training tool. Super Turbo Chun-Li existed in my second year in the FGC, replaces Hyper Street Fighter 2 as the main SF2 game in Toronto Street Fighter. The board is owned by Dogberry, not by Orbit. Top 5 in a 16-man bracket at the home major in T7, losing to Duran and Dogberry, but eliminating David Spence in top 8. So that right there, up to that point, to me, that was the best highlight, because you had to beat the fucking Toronto OG Generation 1 legend in David Spence. He's placed at so many fucking majors, but in this home major, which is done in Japanese sticks instead of American sticks, I managed to eliminate him. So that to me meant a lot. Now it's like it's a sign. Okay, I may be good in this game, but I may suck in all those other games. Okay, cool. Conclusion. You're only good in the games that the scene relegates as either a side game in Super Turbo or a dead game like Capcom Fighting Jam. Nobody respected or cared for Super Turbo in the scene as it was bare bones and there was a main game's stupid logic. If you're good at CVS2, that means you're also good at ST2. Whoever invented this logic in the scene is a stupid fucking idiot. Because, just because that guy's good in Super Turbo but not good in CVS2, it doesn't constitute him as a top player or even a great player. You still fucking suck. Whoever invented that logic, there must be some GTASF logic. You guys are fucking idiots. You had to rely on online matchmaking, Chilera or Xbox Live, which wasn't accepted in the scene back then, along with not being invited or rejected to house casuals as Orbit was too far to travel. 3 hours on 2 fares resulting in 5 transfers. So basically, I'm not good enough or cool enough or part of the clique to attend house casuals, so I have to play online. Now, here we are in 2022, online is now accepted. Online is now accepted. Back then it wasn't. So it's like, well, as an OG, it's like we still don't have to fare with online, but like, hey, it's take what you can give. Arcades are dead and people don't want to fucking host sessions. Good luck with that. Constantly getting 0-2 and being a below average player with nobody wanting to help me level up, it's almost impossible to be a top player in the main games, as I've joined the scene when the games are 5 years old. And you're not improving or progressing. Everything is against you. There is no incentive of being a top player in this scene, especially in a time frame where everyone thought the entire fighting game community was going to die. Yeah, that's right. You don't think I'm going to get frustrated? Hey, everything's against me. How can I level up if everything can be against me? You expect something miraculous to happen? Okay, some of these top players, either they got to leave or they got to be dead. Good luck. Now, granted that there was a batch of new players filling the void of the OGs, the scene in general was pretty plateau as it was the same games with the same top tier characters but a newer crop of players, and nothing groundbreaking was happening to entice new players to enter the scene. Don't believe me? An example, that new guy, he may be good in CVS2. Oh wait, who does he use? Vega Bison Blanca. Oh, fuck that. We've seen Boss 1-2 Evos with that. Roll cancel rolling Crystal Flash. Roll cancel Psycho Crusher. Roll cancel Electricity. Roll cancel Horizontal Ball. Custom combo, paint the fence, whatever. We've seen that before. Oh wait, that person, he's also good in Marvel too. Oh wait, who does he use? MSP. Same old shit. We've seen fucking Sue Mighty and Yipes fucking dominate with those teams. Short side blade, guard break them to an infinite. All of a sudden you a champion. Nah, nothing groundbreaking was happening. Lessons learned in terms of trying to help new players, mainly casuals, but also focusing on Xbox Live regulars explore it and get into the scene. Having been ingrained in the Xbox Live community for nearly 2 years, and one of being the few people in all of GTA/Toronto Street Fighter to have an Xbox Live subscription, various examples of trying to help out casuals or online regulars to explore the scene, just to either be brushed off, insulted, or lied to. And I have 3 different stories in this whole thing. First, we have a link. Good thing I have the link open. This man owns the largest Street Fighter gaming collection in the world. No, he does not, because he doesn't have CPS boards. So who the fuck is Clarence Lim? Clarence Lim owns the largest Street Fighter gaming collection in the entire world, according to the latest edition of Guinness World Records Gamers Edition. 20 years collection, featured part of Street Fighter 25th anniversary. This dumbass, I happen to know who this dumbass is, because I first encountered this guy in 2005. Because this guy used to work for EB Games at Square One, and that was the only game store that I would go get my games. It doesn't matter, Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, Guilty Gear XX Reload, Phantom Dust, I know that there's another game, did I say Capcom? Yeah, Capcom Fighting Jam. Okay, so apparently that this guy, and I also did some coincidental research that one of his ex-girlfriends happens to be one of my classmates in grade school, and I have that girl on my Facebook. Despite the fact that I have not seen this girl in 23 years, I've had her on Facebook for the last, 10 or 12 years. Okay, cool. So this dumbass named Clarence Lim, this guy's a casual player, and that's all fine and cool, but this is 2005, so I'm basically baby steps and an infant in the community. Yo, I'm gonna go to this tournament. I think you want to check it out. And this guy basically was like, hell no. It's like, I understand the no, but why say hell? Like, you have to have some type of emphasis towards this. Oh, I don't respect anyone who fucking plays Street Fighter for money. This guy was gravely fucking offended that and anyone that's part of the Street Fighter community or whatever, and plays in tournaments and then eventually professional gamers, he views that as a fucking insult. Like, yo, how fucking dare you do this? It's like, oh, okay, I guess you don't like it on how people have fun in their own way. Me, at the time, being 19 years old, and this is my first hobby I'm exploring, this guy's looking down on me as if I'm, like, joining, like, a cult or a gang or a hate group or some bullshit like that. So this guy's a fucking casual dumbass. This guy used to go to fucking Ryerson. This guy, I never seen this guy in the motherfucking arcades. This guy just happens to be, a casual collector. And, like, okay, you're a fucking idiot. Like, whatever. This guy, I've only met this guy in two occasions. He basically brushed me off and looked down on me. How dare you fucking do this? So yeah, I happen to know who the fuck this dumbass Clarence Lim is, so fuck him. That's one story. Second story is Savalas or Vanilla Tears. So this dumbass happens to be from Hamilton, Ontario. This is the time when Street Fighter Anniversary Collection was released, and it had two games in one, Third Strike and Hyper Street Fighter 2. This guy would play Hyper Street Fighter 2. This guy would, like, rage quit on you. Not only rage quit, but he'll go off on you on the Shoryuken forums. And he would say a lot of hateful shit, sometimes even borderline racist. So this guy rage quit on me, and I called him out on it, like, yo, why the fuck did you rage quit on me? Like, what the fuck, man? Okay. And he started insulting me, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, okay, if you think you're fucking good, come to this fucking tournament called T6, which is all the way in Markham, Ontario. He's all the way in Hamilton, so he basically has to either drive 2 hours or commute 5 hours to this. He said he would show up. At the time, he said he would show up, and he just blatantly lied. He didn't fucking show up because, well, I expected for him to show up. I expected just a random guy from the fucking internet. I thought the guy was, like, gonna punch me in the face or some bullshit. This guy didn't fucking show up, and he was called out on it. Like, yo, Psychochronic fucking tried to help you out, and you fucking basically disrespected him. He has the right to be pissed off at you because you fucking made a commitment and lied. So, and basically, he basically went off on people and continually did. And then eventually, like a year or so later, which was 2006 T7, a top player in the scene by the name, in his own city, a better Chun-Li than me at the time, was trying to help out people. Yo, man, we have another tournament, but instead of Anniversary Edition, it's Super Turbo. And I basically called it out, hey, man, don't even bother. These Xbox Live regulars won't even show up. And Savalas was like, yeah, fuck that. I ain't gonna show up to a fucking tournament. Competition should come to me. I'm like, okay, you're a fucking idiot. Now, eventually, Savalas / Vanilla Tears managed to get banned from the fucking forums because his fucking, you're allowed to link websites to your profile. His website was linked to a porn site, which also had, like, malware, viruses, Trojan horses, or whatever, and he got banned from the fucking Shoryuken forums, never saw him again. He never made it past 2007. So here you have some dumbass from Hamilton who had competition in his own city, and he still wouldn't even go out. So you can't use I'm an introvert or any type of mental health as an excuse of why your ass didn't show up. Now with Deadman Beast, I happened to, this guy was on my friends list. He was a local, and he played Guilty Gear XX Reload. So at the time, they did some tournaments at York University. I told him, hey man, if you want to fucking meet up and fucking go to a tournament, just let me know. I want to set something up. He gave me the commitment, and he gave me a phone number. All right, he gave me a phone number, and I said I leave. It takes me about 3 hours to get to the arcade at the time because I have to fucking commute. I have to leave at like 7 in the fucking morning, just to be when the arcade opens at 10. I will call you at 9:30 a.m. from York University. I called the number. Hey, hello, is Charles or CJ happen to be home? And I was given a wrong number, and I'm like, yep, I was lied to. So basically, I logged in to Xbox Live like the next day. Yo, man, you fucking lied to me. You gave me a wrong number. And he said something within the lines of, oh, I forgot to wake up or some bullshit. I'm like, fuck this. I erased the guy off my friends list, and I never played Guilty Gear XX Reload on Xbox Live ever again. So, yeah. These are 3 examples of me trying to help out local casual players or online warriors trying to get in the scene, and I've either gotten brushed off, insulted, or lied to. So now you know how frustrating it is when it comes to talent recruitment and development. It's complete trial and error. You say you want to level up, I point you to the fucking direction, I go out of my way because no one else in the scene would fucking do it because we'd all see the same result in nothing, and there you go. Now you realize that, getting good in fighting games is not easy. So if you think you're the fucking king of online or whatever, let's see you enter another dimension of offline against real players. Let's see what the fuck your bitch ass is made of. Hosting your own casuals. Brett Cave, you hosted your own casuals in your basement after all the times you got brushed off or screwed over invites to other house casuals. Had the Dreamcast for the games in Super Turbo and CVS2 as Xbox was completely irrelevant in the scene, just needed to invest in arcade sticks and recording hardware. Main game to be played was Super Turbo in 50 to 100 game sessions, with CVS2 being the secondary. Only people invited in the scene was Dogberry and Fareed. I only invited 2 people to my house because for all the times I was not good enough or not part of the clique to be invited to casuals or whatever, this was the response to it. So yeah, I kind of do have a little bit of a grudge or vendetta against the OGs. Hey man, you didn't want to help me out. Why the fuck should I have to help you out? Now you understand why. Ended Xbox Live subscription. You got sick and tired of playing on Xbox Live in this time frame of the scene. You're willing to step your shit up. Mississauga scene was borderline cancerous. When your home city Street Fighter scene is founded by a bunch of punk high school kids in 2001 that can't get along with each other for the last 5 years, you had to take a lot of shit just to be welcomed in, and too many people weren't welcomed in at all. You're bound to run into issues to which there is no solution. Most OGs had nothing on the table when it came to community harmonization and talent recruitment and development, as new people who introduced themselves to try to explore the scene were either ignored or automatically be told to go fuck themselves. Along with no advice in leveling up their game or knowledge about the scene, couldn't take accountability of their past actions and acknowledge their failures, along with not being able to handle consequences and ramifications. Not given any help to be a better player, especially in a time frame where everyone thought the scene was dead, 2005 to 2008, and Street Fighter 4 came in to save the sinking ship. Too much bitterness, arguments, and pettiness amongst each other. Granted, the scene was started off and thrived off of grudges. Most arguments don't end in a peaceful solution. Too much player favoritism and typical cliquish mentality. Just because I'm not part of your clique doesn't mean I'm just some peasant that's underneath you and you somehow have the supposed right to shit on the scrubs and everyone has to accept the disrespect. We're not really a community, just a bunch of fragmented people in the precious little clique who just happen to play video games with each other. I felt like I was an outcast as no city claimed me and viewed this community as extremely unwelcoming. While I harbored and compressed all that frustration, I'm not allowed to do good things or stand up for what's right. If getting snaked, derailed, be told derogatory insults or unfair treatment comes with the scene, the same thing applies of whatever levels of beef, grudge, and aftermath that comes with it, which is complete asinine, as this scene breaks the sacred kayfabe, and the scene was built and thrived off of grudges, along with not being able to handle consequences and ramifications. So here we are, all the way in 2022, me doing this show or podcast. Why do you think I've held that grudge towards a little generation of fucking fighting gamers. Maybe you watch out what you do. Because, you're going to borderline bully someone. That person's going to harbor a lot of frustration and do something about it. You're lucky I didn't fucking, I don't know, do something fucking stupid like break a fucking window or pull a knife on someone or do some type of criminal act that makes me the ultimate bad guy. You think I'm going to fucking do something about it? Eventually it did happen. Here I am today, everyone else is gone, you can go fuck yourself, and if you happen to be dead, I want to see a grave. So, there you go. That's what I was going through in the scene in my first year and a half here, and it's not really a pleasant experience. So if you think that the fighting game community is just we all hold each other's hands and sing Kumbaya, you are dead wrong. This scene may be diverse, but nowhere in the fine line of the contract does diverse mean accepting. And that's the end of that chapter, almost 21 minutes. Alright, let's continue on to the next chapter of this episode.
Here comes Daredevil!
That's great. Thank you.
Alright, G3Evolution. October 2006 to August 2009, Synopsis and Analysis. Mississauga, or GTA, whatever you want to call it, scene is almost 6 years old at this time. And it finally evolves from Street Fighter community to fighting game community. The scene in Mississauga was already severely fragmented that the introduction of this group is another separated entity within the scene. TOSF is main scene, while G3Evolution is underground. Yes, I view the scene as two separated entities, and then within that city is another two separated entities. Due to its opposite attributes, TOSF was the Capcom fighters, while G3Evolution was the anime, Kusoge, and SNK fighters. All games not considered or highly emphasized the big three were welcomed to be played here. Even though Mississauga scene was primarily ran by the Saga crew, the Saga clique, mainly Marvel 2, and ran roughshod to their own city without even realizing it, now another group comes in. It's obviously known that both groups, G3Evolution mainly and Guilty Gear, will not work together or acknowledge each other, but you have no choice but to coexist with each other whether you like it or not. So do you honestly think that both groups are fucking at least gonna see eye to eye? Hell fucking no. I fucking called this out before when this first happened, and I was fucking right. When you have one group that's, Marvel 2 players, the other group that's Guilty Gear players, they are not gonna see eye to eye or even work together or even whatever, but you gotta coexist with each other. Welcome to the community. Extreme polar opposites when you have one group of shady white boys from John Fraser that play Marvel 2 and the other group of friendlier Asians and blacks from St. Francis Xavier that play Guilty Gear and Melty Blood that started off as a high school anime club rather than in a shady arcade with faulty arcade equipment that's very rarely repaired. G3Evolution also ran the gaming division in tournaments for Anime North, the biggest anime convention in Canada, an event the community never took seriously as nobody wanted to pay a $40 pass to enter a low-skill tournament with anime merchandise as the main prizes. Normal standard in Mississauga for house casuals, since this city lacks a viable arcade space and the main hub in orbit was too far, along with using different equipment, are private invite only. While G3Evolution, where anyone was welcome to play as most fighters were played, G3Evolution defies the status quo as, back then we didn't give a fuck inviting randoms on the internet, but in this situation, we gotta throw hands if it had to be done. We're just here to play some fighting games and level up. But in return, you're discovering the undiscovered talent and potential of new players trying to explore the scene, something the main scene had nothing on the table when it came to talent recruitment or development. So yeah, they invited a bunch of fucking random total strangers on the internet, from forum lurkers to online warriors. Yo, you're welcome to come in here and play. Whatever, and they'd play until fucking, the last bus or whatever, or when people had to go. But in this situation, If we gotta throw hands, we gotta throw hands. You know, we don't mind turning 2D gaming fighting into, you know, real life fighting. And one of the things that in terms of the main scene was private invite only, we gotta know you. But here's the thing, the scene was already considered unwelcoming, so that you gotta scratch that out the fucking window. So anyone new trying to enter this scene and trying to enter, you know, a Marvel 2 casual, that's just not gonna fucking happen. G3Evolution having access to all the imported Japanese fighters due to modded PS2s, and the main scene not being interested due to being a Hive Capcom minded mentality. So that's 3 versions of Guilty Gear, 2 versions of Melty Blood. Garo, King of Fighters 11, King of Fighters Mira, Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, Hokuto no Ken, Sengoku Basara Cross, Fate Unlimited Codes, and Arcana Heart. Casuals mainly hosted in RDK's basement at 403 Winston Churchill or Tyrant and Zex's basement in Bristol and Eglinton, at least done once every month, as this was the only answer into having constant activity in Mississauga, as orbit was too far. That's 3 hours on 5 transfers, on top of having to transition from pad to arcade stick, on top of the main scene being extremely unwelcoming to newcomers. Additional casuals with Brett Cave and Osprey in the mix, as I decided to collaborate with G3Evolution, as I felt denied by the main scene, being rejected invites to casuals for nearly 2 years. At least one person is going to learn ST from me in Dogberry and Jet07, while I get to learn basics and fundamentals in anime and kusoge fighters, and also help prepare this group to attend local tournaments. Timing is perfect, as the scene in general transitioning from arcade to console, with the home major in T8 in July 2007 introducing this concept on a large scale. So, yeah, I don't mind hosting casuals for people. Yo, let me just collaborate my casuals with G3Evolution. There you go. Now what? Is there any type of like law or charter or regulation in this scene? Yo, I'm not allowed to do this. Point me to the governing body in the community that says I'm not allowed to host casuals, or I'm not allowed to collaborate my casuals with other casuals. Your scene was already fucking unwelcoming as is, so go fuck yourself on that one. One of the first groups in the scene to consistently record casuals and upload them to YouTube, unlike the main scene where footage got recorded but never uploaded. This was in the time frame before capture cards, where we had to record on VHS, then transfer to PC via TV tuner, the RF cable, along with YouTube having a 10-minute limit. So yeah, recording footage was not easy, but hey, at least we got our name out there. It doesn't matter, yo, we played on YouTube casuals, but even though we suck, at least we're trying to get our name out there. Motherfuckers did not want to have their fucking footage recorded and uploaded because they wanted to keep their secret and exclusive, but at the same time, you still want that recognition. You gotta take that. You gotta fucking take that shit, man. Eventually that happened with live streaming. If you're in a fucking tournament, are you gonna say, yo, I refuse to play on stream? No, go fuck yourself. Play on stream or get the fuck out. You knew that this was gonna fucking happen. Hardly anyone in Toronto, specifically Guilty Gear, willing to travel to G3Evolution casuals, as Mississauga is too far, as most players are either in the East End or the North End, Scarborough, North York, Markham, Richmond Hill, along with having their own arcade spot at Love Getty Station, which is Highway 7 in Leslie. That shit is far as fuck. Yes, I've taken 2 fares, I've never taken 3, and that's what, an additional 2 transfers just to go to the fucking arcade? That's like 100 kilometers away from my house? Fuck that. Nah. But at the same time, you know, the same thing goes both ways. Mississauga can't go travel to Toronto, and Toronto didn't want to travel to Mississauga. So now you understand how fucking split the scene in general was at the time? It was hella fucking fragmented. Alright, and that's the end of that chapter. 8.5 minutes. Alright. I know that this is going to be a very short episode, so let's get this chapter going on.
Here comes Daredevil!
That's great. Thank you.
Alright, G3Evolution. Timeline. Not all events listed, only notable points. October 2006, RDK makes his first post in the Shoryuken thread in wanting to explore the scene, and one of two things are going to happen. He's going to get ignored or go told to go fuck himself for introducing himself. I wait until the end of the weekend, and the former happens, he gets ignored. So I go out of my way to private message him for some casuals, as I was the only player in the scene to enter tournaments in Guilty Gear XX Reload in Mississauga. So I remember this day very vividly. I message him, hey man, let's play some casuals, whatever. What do you play? Okay, I play this, and this, whatever, and one of them happens to be Guilty Gear. Okay, we'll play Guilty Gear XX Reload, but you gotta know I don't have a PlayStation 2. You gotta play on the Xbox pad. No problem, I have a couple Xbox pads. So he has to take a bus all the way to my end of town, which is Meadowvale. He has to take the 45, which is the Winston Churchill bus. Do not get off at the mall. Get off 3 stops before the mall. Get off at Battleford Road. Walk to the bridge on your left, which is Meadowvale Secondary. I'll meet you at Meadowvale Secondary. We talked. We chatted for 10 minutes. Oh, you play Guilty Gear, and he wanted to learn about the scene. Okay, I told him straight up that this is Mississauga. This scene is primarily known for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and that's a game he does not play because, well, that's just not his style. He plays Guilty Gear. No problem. We played Guilty Gear at my house, and he kicked the fuck. He basically beat the shit out of me in Guilty Gear. Like, yo, this guy has potential. I want him to go to tournaments, and apparently he has a group of people of G3Evolution in a high school anime club, and, I just was invited to their casuals. It's like, yo, I hope you guys go to casuals or sometime, but you gotta understand, at the time, you have to play on the arcade stick, because the scene did not fully transition yet from arcade to console, but the timing will come right. It actually came right as is, but at the time you have to play on the arcade stick whether you like it or not. That's just the way it is in the scene. And I know that there were a lot of people who play on pad that cannot play on stick, so they were basically like disqualified from entering. So I got to meet the G3 guys, and we all hit it up good. I felt like I needed a sense of belonging because I did not like the time with GTASF and the Saga clique. So because it was basically like borderline cancerous. So I'm like, okay, I'll chill with these G3 guys. These G3 guys. Might as well. At the same time, even though I'm willing to play most games, I was very open-minded. I'll play whatever game that's needed. So, and one of the games just happens to be, Melty Blood or King of Fighters 11 or Sengoku Bizarre Cross Within Time. But it's like, might as well take it. Take what you can give. Take advantage of this. March 2007. March Madness tournament held at RDK's basement with Alpha 3, Third Strike, and Guilty Gear Slash in the lineup. Third Strike started really late, and Guilty Gear Slash did not finish due to time constraints, with Alpha 3 being the success of the night in 15 players. Alright. April 2007. Scarborough Condo Console Tournament with Guilty Gear Slash 2 vs 2 being the main draw, with Third Strike and Virtua Fighter 5 acting as side games, along with the first ever Melty Blood Act Cadenza tournament in the scene won by RDK, as he's roughly 6 months in the scene at this time. Shoutouts to K2 for reserving the room at this condo to host this tournament. Why do we have a link? Because I have that video. Yes, people did record it, but at least I preserved it. We're not going to watch the full hour. We're going to watch the last set at least, so the last 3 minutes. Yep, we're going to watch this. So this is RDK's first ever tournament win. that's how RDK won the first ever Melty Blood tournament, and he was only 6 months in the scene. And yeah, there you go. So even though he was rising up slowly in Guilty Gear, he fucking proved his shit in the side game of Guilty Gear, which is Melty Blood. So you gotta hold that shit and respect that. I'm just saying. July 2007, the first ever tournament for Guilty Gear XX Accent Core. 26 players in a free entry tournament and on free play event mode, with Love Getty Station providing the cash prize: $100 for first, $50 in second, $25 in third. RDK being the only G3 representative to enter, finishes in top 16, meaning 1 and 2 in bracket. Alright. July 2007 again, the home major in T8, which acts as the first console major in Toronto. Granted that G3 Evolution can't travel to local tournaments due to multiple factors: played on arcade cabinet, cost of playing in arcade and events in the East End. There is no excuse not to show up to the home major done in a console environment. G3 Evolution coming in full force, finally putting Mississauga in the map other than Marvel 2. RDK Alter Genesis Tyrant getting 4th in Guilty Gear XXX and Core. 3 versus 3 teams. RDK and Alter Genesis both getting 5th, along with myself 7th in Melty Blood top 8. Melty Blood Akazenza top 8, along with myself also getting top 8 in Street Fighter Alpha 3, due thanks to the constant Alpha 3 sessions at G3 Evolution. So without those sessions at G3 within the months heading into T8, I wouldn't have gotten good in Alpha 3, because we did Randats that year for Alpha 3, and I started off using V Karen, and it's like, fuck that. I'll use these I'll use some casuals in practice time at my house, along with a couple of these G3 casuals leading up. I'm going to only use V Mika, who's a worse character than V Karen, and apparently, I fucking managed to get top 8. That shit is not fucking easy. So I give thanks to G3 for fucking hosting Street Fighter Alpha 3, and how I managed to become, well, I'm just going to say I was the best player out of everyone in G3 for Alpha 3. September 2007, Love Getty Station with Guilty Gear XX Accent Core 2 versus 2. 9 teams, along with Arcana Heart, 11 entrants being the main draw. Melty Blood Cadenza canceled due to lack of interest, and Zero Falcon too lazy to host it. RDK and Forest Blazer getting 4th, with Alter Genesis and Shin getting 6th, with Alter Genesis getting 2 OCVs in losers bracket. So he didn't get 0-2 in teams, but at least he fucking made a statement. Yeah, I'm just gonna fucking OCV 2 teams before getting into top 5, top 6. Alright, cool, no problem. October 2007, Arcana Heart Appreciation Tournament held at RDK's basement, with the game being no more than 48 hours released on console, with Fiona's boss damage running everyone's shit, along with Guilty Gear XX Accent Core in the lineup. November 2007, Love Getty Station Tournament with Guilty Gear XX Accent Core having 11 entrants, and Melty Blood and Arcana Heart being cancelled due to low turnout and various players leaving early. January 2008, Return of the Evolution Tournament held at RDK's basement, with Melty Blood at Cadenza, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and Guilty Gear XX Accent Core in the lineup. Players from Toronto and Waterloo attending this house tournament. Special 5 versus 5 Guilty Gear XX Accent Core tournament as team battle, as Toronto, which is basically Love Getty plus Ryan, defeats Mississauga in G3 Evolution 5-2. July 2008, the home major in T9, which acts as the final Canadian major in this era prior to Street Fighter 4. RDK making top 8 in Guilty Gear XX and Core, defeating his rival in Toronto player in X Sapphire in a bracket that features Marn, Flash Metroid, and Justin Wong, along with Jetto 7 making top 8 in ST. Now I remembered when fucking Ray beat X Sapphire in that tournament. He fucking popped off. There's one of those easy buttons that you get in Staples. You just press the button. That was easy. He fucking slammed the fucking button on the table and almost broke the button. So he popped off pretty hard to get that top 8, and I can respect that, because you've been in the scene a year and a half at that point, and you've been struggling in Guilty Gear, but you've been always doing good in Melty Blood. This is your fucking chance. And okay, I don't have this in my notes. I think RDK got in either 3rd or 5th place in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but he used Meta Knight. Like, okay, cool, because they did Super Smash Bros. Melee and Super Smash Bros. Brawl in that tournament, and I know he did play a little bit of Brawl, but he used Meta Knight. Okay. January 2009, Fate Unlimited Codes Appreciation Night held at the Brett Cave. Originally supposed to be in December on my birthday, but postponed due to 20-centimeter snowfall. And thank God, because only 2 people showed up to my place at that December date, even though with 20-centimeter snowfall. It was Hisham and Dogberry, and me being me, I try not to do anything FGC related on my birthday. I'm very miserable based on the fact that I've had bad experiences in the past and would have bad experiences FGC wise on my birthday. So I'm glad it got postponed to January. The first and only Kusoge tournament in the history of the scene with Arcana Heart, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Cross Generation of Heroes, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, and BlazBlue Calamity Trigger on a Taito Type X2 board being played. Basically a house tournament and all-night casuals until 3 a.m. at my house. What do we have here? 3 YouTube links. These are all just overviews of these casuals. No match of it, just overviews.
I'm just taking an overview shot.
Overview shot.
The basement.
Yep, everything's in the basement. And just to let you know that my basement is basically rigged like as if it was a fucking bunker, like a bomb shelter. There is no fucking cell phone reception, and every source of outside light is blocked out. There is no outside sunlight can come in, and the only source of light inside is just the modem. Is the modem in the router. There's no light switches in this basement. It's just one of the click, click, click.
Welcome to the Brett Cave. What do we have here? Arcana Heart? Okay, we got Arcana Heart. What do we have here? Tatsunoko vs. Capcom?
Pause. That is a fucking Dynamo cut corner cabinet in my fucking house, and I consoleized that shit. Dynamo cut corner. I couldn't even get a monitor, so I just put a CRT television in there. I didn't feel like getting JAMA switches or whatever, so I just put a couple Tekken 5 anniversary PCBs in there. So basically anything PS2 can be played on that cabinet.
How's this DVR program doing now?
It's good, it's working. I'm just testing the mic recording.
What's your Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix? Yeah. BlazBlue.
Round 1.
Alright.
Fight!
Randy Jackson. I'm done. This is the Brett Cave, son. Look at how much coaches and fucking... Let's go to Tatsunoko vs. Cap. Let's go to whether it's an HD remix. Just want lineup for right now. You know what time Kevin's gonna show up?
I have no idea.
Alright. So this is grand finals?
Yep, grand
First set or second set?
First set.
Shit.
BlazBlue, the arcade board. It's not even on console.
What's going on here? Fate Unlimited codes?
Fate Unlimited codes.
What's going on here? Tatsunoko?
Yeah, that's it. May 2009. First ever bar fights tournament done in Scarborough in collaboration with Toronto's Soul Calibur community, as most Street Fighter 4 tournaments were on console due to lack of arcade and event space. 92-man tournament for SF4 with Shuffle now going as Chaos 2D, getting third place. So the story is Shuffle, which is now Chaos 2D, he used to play Guilty Gear and Melty Blood with them G3 boys, and then eventually he would go on to train up with Buddha Force, who was known for Smash Brawl, and Rebello, who would regular Sega City Palladium. That they would do fucking Fiend sessions in Street Fighter 4. Hence they were called Secret Saga. And so the story I was told from Chaos 2D directly is he fucking took the Psychochronic route, 5 buses and 5 transfers, all the way to go from Mississauga all the way to fucking Playscape, and he played JS Master, the almighty JS Master, and beat him so badly in a boxer mirror match in Street Fighter 4. Who is this new guy in this scene? He very rarely even talks. Well, this motherfucker managed to fucking make an impact at the first ever bar fights, where it was 92-man tournament, and he fucking got third place. 70, 20, 10, that's $92 right there. That shit ain't fucking easy. So yeah, he was a fucking, out of everyone in G3, he would be the best player in Street Fighter 4, in my opinion. So yeah. July 2009. The home major in TX, which acts as the first Toronto major in the Street Fighter 4 era, RDK Ultra Genesis and Chaos 2D getting third in BlazBlue Calamity Trigger 3 vs 3. And August 2009. Final G3 Evolution event held at a banquet hall in Streetsville with Guile main Rebello winning his first Street Fighter 4 tournament, 35 entrants, along with me winning my first tournament in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix, the only tournament in this scene in King of Fighters 12, won by Ultra Genesis, along with Melty Blood Actress again in the list, with BlazBlue Calamity Trigger getting cancelled. There are 2 playlists to this, and I'm not going to play every single video in this whole thing, but I managed to record some of the HD Remix tournament, along with a money match featuring Newman, now Drewface, versus Dogberry in a 3 out of 5. This is where I won HD Remix, and this is where Rebello won Street Fighter 4. I managed to record, I'd say a fraction of the tournament. At least you got top 5, maybe in bits and pieces of top 8, but that's good shit. So people traveled from all around, from Toronto, Vaughan, Brampton, Waterloo, just to go to Mississauga, and this is the G3 final event in this whole thing. So yeah, that ends the timeline of G3 Evolution. I only put the notable points. I don't need to put every single point in there. So there you go. Over 20 minutes in this chapter. All right, let's begin by going to the next chapter of this episode.
Here comes Daredevil!
That's great. Thank you.
All right, Aftermath, which does not include me, because this episode is primarily focused on G3 Evolution. I don't need to include me in this Aftermath because, well, this is my show, my podcast, my vlog. I'll talk whatever I want. RDK played Gears of War 2 instead of adapting to Street Fighter 4, the upcoming BlazBlue Continuum Shift. Wins the first Marvel vs. Capcom 3 tournament in Bison's Auto Shop 6 in Waterloo. The first player to receive the Brett Chronic Megabus ticket for a US major, uses his anime and kusoge fundamentals to create and popularize a Trish Unblockable, the first crop of Canadian players to make an impact in the US scene, hence the godfather of Canadian Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Fourth at the home major in T12 for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Ultimate didn't come out. Various appearances at US majors from 2012 to 2014. Seasons beatings EVO. Canada Cup, East Coast Throwdown Curly Mustache. Retires from fighting games shortly thereafter, with the final major being a top 32 finish at CEO 2014, but a rare appearance at TOSF BB Barbecue in 2016. So yeah, if you want to see this invasion, I made a whole episode about it in episode 2 when I chose RDK as one of the people to create this invasion. I always said, you help me out, I help you out. You help me out, I fucking reward people who handsomely help me out. However, if you fuck me over, I don't have nothing but bad things to say. So there you go. He helped me out, and him and his group helped me out when the scene didn't. So there you go. I said I'd repay you back sometime, and I rewarded him with a free ticket to fucking Philadelphia. It was only $1. $1 Megabus tickets. That shit's real, motherfucker. Jed07 continually played Super Turbo HD Remix instead of adapting to Super Street Fighter 4, becoming the best player in the scene. One match away from top 8 at Midwest Championships 2010, losing to the respective second and first place finishers in Alex Valle and Royal Flush. One match away from top 64 at EVO 2010, losing to Afro Legends and Evo Anon. Goes into first retirement after getting 4th at Toryukin 3 in 2014, which acts as a Tournament of Legends 2 qualifier, before moving to Europe, Malta to be exact. Comes back a year and a half later and still kills all of us in ST as if nothing fucking happened. Retires from fighting games shortly after, with the final major winning Toryukin 7 in 2018, which also acts as a Tournament of Legends 3 qualifier, then going into final retirement for good. Yes, he did win that Tournament of Legends 3 qualifier, but as explained in a previous episode when I did Road to Tournament of Legends 3, he did not go to Canada Cup that year. He was eventually replaced by Rarity. What do I have in this video? I'm not even going to play it, but this is Jed's entire journey into qualifying for Tournament of Legends 3 at Toryukin. This is all of his matches, and his shit was not fucking easy. He lost to Unessential. He beat I forget who he beat to get into top 8. Top 8, he beat in order me, Justin Wong, Dogberry, Lord Jimmy Bones, and 2 sets of a Japanese trained Chiridi. And he fucking wins the tournament. So it's already on my YouTube right here. This is how Jed won Toryukin 7. So, and this would be like his final tournament. He goes off into the sunset. No problem. Shuffle, Chaos 2D, continually played Street Fighter 4, known for his amazing execution with Balrog, Vanilla, Akuma, Super, and Yang Arcade Edition. Top 8 at MTLSF Nemesis 2, the second player to receive the Brett Chronic Megabus ticket for a US major, the first crop of Canadian players to make an impact in the US scene for Street Fighter 4 ever since the departure of the almighty JS Master, top 8 in the home major in T12 in Vanilla Marvel vs. Capcom 3, retires from fighting games shortly after, with the final major being a top 32 finish at Seasons Beatings Velocity, only losing to Punko and Laugh, meaning no US players beat him, only Koreans. And yes, I have that documented in episode 2, the best Canadian invasion. Yes, I did choose him when I gave him a Brett Chronic $1 Megabus ticket, because I knew he'd fucking make a difference. He never fucking traveled to America before then, and like, he helped me out just like RDK did. He helped me out when the scene didn't, and that meant a lot to me. Altered Genesis didn't adapt to any other fighting game after 2009, instead of focusing on basketball leagues and family along with TikToks. Yasunagi started to come out to more monthlies along with the home majors when KOF 13 was the only SNK fighting game of activity. 2012 continually supported whatever SNK fighting games came out, so King of Fighters 14 and Samurai Showdown, along with being gaming staff at various anime conventions on behalf of GOES, Game On Entertainment Services, and 2 examples of cons being Anime North and YetiCon. Tyrant played Gears of War 2 instead of adapting to Street Fighter 4, the upcoming BlazBlue Continuum shift. Does podcasts under the G3 name while playing all types of games, mainly shooters and fighters, and went the Guile route of being a family man. That means he must have a wife and a child. Cool, no problem. When I say the Guile route, and most people have done the Guile route, okay, you got married, you have children, you're done with fighting games, you naturally phased out and left, okay, no problem, done. Zex played Gears of War 2 instead of adapting to Street Fighter 4 the upcoming BlazBlue Continuum shift. Creator of a fighting card game in Battle Eterna. And yes, we're going to watch all 6 minutes of how to play Battle Eterna. This is his game, his baby, and that's all cool and shit. That's all cool. This is just an ad. No, wait, it's 3.5 minutes.
Hey, you! Me.
We're going to skip the ad.
You.
Battle
Don't you wanna play
Eterna
something
introduction
different? Bring it
trailer.
up.
Attention gamers, it's time to witness
5
a fighting
minutes.
card game like never before. Battle Eterna. Battle Eterna is a fighting card game that emulates arcade fighters to perfection. In season intro, there are 6 characters. Each character has their own combo potential coupled with their own unique ability. They also have an awakening and an overdrive that can shift the battle into their favor. Each character also has 2 stances that changes how they engage in battle. Each stance has its own set of skills for you to choose from. Like an arcade fighter, these skills are categorized as openers, enders, projectiles, linkers, zones, grabs, etc. They all function differently and have their own benefits. Learning how to use these skills will be essential to building your combo and ending your opponent. Unlike most card games, Battle Eterna gives you full control of the combo you want to perform. Depending on the character, from your deck, you can select any combination of cards you wish to use for your combo. That's right, this isn't deck versus deck, this is player versus player. Each combo card functions differently. You can either build Eterna, you can damage your opponent, you can drain your opponent's Eterna, or you can extend your combo. As you attack, the defender will need to read your patterns. Matching cards are counted as blocked, while mismatched cards is counted as a hit. It's essential to mix up your patterns and to keep your opponent guessing. Now, if your interest has been touched even just a little bit, be sure to check out the description in this video down below. There is a link to our Gmail where you can email us and inquire about how you can get your hands on a copy of Battle Eterna. You can get it in different editions, whether it's the Rival Edition, where you get 2 characters you're choosing from the season intro, and you and a rival can get started right away mastering these 2 characters. Or you can order the season intro. That comes with 6 characters, the 6 that I have displayed here for you to see. Want to take it a step further? You can pre-order the Season 1 pass for Battle Eterna. You get all 6 of the intro characters plus 7 additional characters. That's a cast of 13 characters at launch. Or you can really test your competitive spirit. Purchase the Tournament Edition. There, you will be invited to the first ever Battle Eterna tournament where you will be playing for prize money. That's right, we're not giving away plushie toys or anything like that. This is a spot where only the true battle-hearted warriors are invited to. And here, you can make that prize money. So, how does it work? First place gets its winner take all. First place will take the prize money, while second and third place will get their money back. It's essentially saying, you just got Battle Eterna for free. That's right, get a podium finish and second or third, you get your money back. First place wins the prize money. Everybody else, we do thank you for coming and competing. You will get an invite to the first ever Battle Eterna tournament where you will all climb through the qualifiers, make it into the top 8, and see who wins the finals. Who is the first champion of Battle Eterna? That is for you to decide. 6 unique characters with a different way of how they approach the battle. Master these characters. Find out which one synergizes and complements your playstyle the most. Whether it's an offensive playstyle, a defensive playstyle, or a playstyle that's a little bit tricky and quirky. It's up to you to master these characters and find out for yourself. In Battle Eterna Season Intro, you will have access to all 6 of these characters. Customize your combos, break down your opponent, destroy them with devastating skills, reduce their HP to 0. In this highly competitive fighting game, it is on you and your rival to have a representation to see who the better player really is. This is card games at its most competitive. This is Battle Eternal.
Alright. And outro. Finn. Thank you very much. This is episode 10 of Rarity Talk, which is G3Evolution, Mississauga's anime FGC. I got the chance to fucking hang out with these guys in the time frame where everyone thought the FGC was gonna die, and then Street Fighter 4 comes in, and everyone somehow learned a lot from learning from these people, myself being one of them, because, you know, it helped me become a greater player and helped other players become great players. And it just showed a lot of lessons when it came to talent recruitment and development and approachment and, you know, leveling up in games. So there you go. Now, what do I have for next episode? That's going to be hard. Now that I've done 10 episodes of this whole thing, I have a bunch in progress with possibilities, and I don't know where to start. I can do my history in Capcom vs. SNK 2. I can do my history in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. I also got possible episodes of other experiences of other majors, or history in other games, or even player interviews. So I don't know when's the next episode. I'm trying to, you know, throw curveballs or knuckleballs and surprises of what episode 11 could be. I don't know what else. But so, as I said, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you like what I do. I hope you appreciate what I do. Enjoy the weather. Don't get COVID. Keep continuing playing games, and I'll see you when I see you.